So thank you for being here. Sorry for the delay. We're really excited to share about our bachelor degrees. Just know that it gets a little complicated because we have a lot of options to offer. And so very quickly, my name is Janet Kim. I'm the special education recruitment specialist. And I'm here, joined with me are some of our colleagues who I will let introduce themselves.
Okay, I'll jump in. My name is Dr. Ronnie Tiffany Kinder. I represent the ITE elementary program for grades K to 6 and also our early childhood dual licensure for pre-K through 3.
Aloha mai kako. My name is, I'm Dr. Kirsten Moyer, and I am the director of the COE Ho'ona'oao program, and that's focused on secondary.
And like I mentioned, I will be representing the special education programs, and we do have some other program coordinators who hopefully will be joining us, but let's go ahead and get started. So first, we'd like to share with you why come to the University of Hawaii at Manoa? What makes our programs a little unique, a little bit different, and what are the foundational features that we really make sure to instill in each of our programs?
One of the things that's really important about our teacher preparation programs here at UH Manoa is our really strong sense of purpose and sense of place. We're really committed to Hawaii and the schools that we teach in and the communities that we serve, and just really fostering the sense of connection to place, and really thinking about how from everything, the university coursework, the programs are really connected and develop their curriculum to engage our students, our teacher candidates, in thinking about what that means and how that plays into the classroom, and really thinking about what that means in terms of preparing our young people to be citizens of Hawaii specifically. And I think that that's one of the really lovely things about our program that you don't find in some of the other programs, and it distinguishes programs from everywhere else in the country. I know I've taught at a different institution before I got here, and it was didn't have that strong sense of like really committed to the people who are living in the community. So I would say that that's a really important feature of our program.
Another important feature of most of our programs, except for the health, I believe health and PE, is the cohort model. And the cohort model helps to create these very strong relationships with groups of students, in about 20 to 25 students per cohort, and you move through that program together. So you take your courses together, you attend field together, and you support one another in both your academic work and helping you to stay organized, develop some great executive functioning skills, and just to understand how to navigate that space of being a teacher. It is definitely very Ohana-like and family-ish. Everybody stays in very close contact with each other. And what's really great about the cohort model is it's a fixed schedule. So you don't have to sit there scrambling to try to get those courses for your major. These courses are set aside just for your cohort. And for many of our programs, and we're going to talk about the different programs, you have the same people in your courses for each one. So for example, I'm from elementary, those same 20 people are in every single course that they take through the entire program. With that, the downside is there's not a lot of flexibility. So this is a full-time program and you can't take more, you can't take less. And if you need to repeat a class, it could kind of throw you off a little bit. So there is a lack of flexibility, but there's also a lot of stability in the program and a lot of support. The other thing is that we have a lot of success. Our students have a high rate of success in terms of graduation and staying within our program. There are some that might take a break from the program, but they come back and they finish successfully. So the cohort model is definitely, to me, one of the greatest strengths of our programs.
Another distinguishing feature of our programs is that they're field-based. And that means in addition to your university-based coursework, you also are actually placed within a local school and you are paired with a partner. And that means from the very beginning of your program that you're in classrooms and you can take the things that you're using in your university courses in terms of learning about the practice and craft of teaching and try out and explore those things in an actual classroom with the support of a very experienced mentor teacher. We have strong partnerships throughout the island, so not just on Oahu, but all of the schools. And so this is something that is, I would say, really sets us apart, that we start from the very, very first semester. And then as you progress to the end of the program, you move to full-time student teaching with the support of a mentor teacher. So that's something that's in place across all of our programs.
And then lastly, UH Manoa, I think, is one of the, if not the only institution that offers dual certification options. And what that means is you're getting the biggest bang for your buck because you're getting licensed in more than one thing in the same amount of time. So you're doing the one program, but you're going to end up with 2 teaching licenses. And what's also great about that is that means you're adding on an additional specialized skill set. So you're going to have, maybe you're doing elementary and multilingual learners, right? So you get the elementary skill set, but you're also going to get the multilingual learner skill set, which is just going to make you a better teacher. And so just know that dual certification options are amazing because you're going to get, to live within 2 worlds within our profession, which leads to the last thing, which means, honestly, when you graduate, there's an increased, opportunity for you to not only get employed, but that administrators want people with specialized skill sets, right? So for being on the special education side, some people think like, I'm not going to do a special education dual certification because they'll force me into special education and I want to be a 2nd grade teacher. But that's not the case. In fact, with inclusion being more common nowadays, administrators need their general education teachers to have some special education background, right? And so when you're adding on a dual certification, you're adding on just additional tools that you'll have in your tool belt so that you can make sure that, when you graduate, you'll have tons of opportunities available for you.
Okay, so now that we've told you a lot about the things that make our program really special, you might be asking yourself, well, who are we looking for in terms of students? One thing to keep in mind is that this is a professional program, which means by the time you're done with the program, you're recommended for licensure and that you are then qualified for a teaching position. And so we're really looking from the very beginning in the application process for people who exhibit the professional dispositions for teaching. And we use this at all parts of our program, from the interview process all the way through student teaching. And it's really important that we see these dispositions in all aspects, from the university coursework to interactions with your other teacher candidates that you're working with, professors, but also within the classrooms that you're working in. And this is something that I would say it's one of those things that make it a professional program. So we're looking for professionalism, communication, collaboration, reflection, and diversity.
Okay, so another unique feature to our program at the College of Education at UH Manoa is song. It's supporting our new graduates. So we have a very strong commitment to our graduates and to our profession, and we offer support for all of our graduates as they move into the classroom during their first 2 years of their careers. And we offer support in the areas that you see on the screen. It can be anything from classroom management to curriculum, assessment, record keeping, or just managing personal time and resources. This support can be delivered in person, online, via phone, text. It's all over the place, but the important thing to note is we are there for you. So even after you've left the college, we continue to support you in your early careers of teaching.
And so when you're thinking about, how do I pick a program? How do I navigate all of this? There's some key things that you should we recommend you start thinking about. The first one is the age group that you want to teach. Here at UH Manoa, we don't have like a K to 12, anybody, all licensed fields. They're very specialized. We want to be able to give you training and knowledge specific to what you're looking to teach. And so the first thing you should ask yourself is, do you want to work with the youngest population in our schools, which is like early childhood, preschool to grade 3? Or do you like working with just younger children and an elementary school for K to 6? Or do you prefer to work with older students? And our secondary programs are talking about anyone who wants to teach in middle and high schools. And so you want to think about that, because almost all the programs we're going to show you, actually all of them, are going to be level specific at the age range that you want to teach. And then also keep in mind, if you do want to be a secondary teacher, you also need to think about, well, what is the subject that you want to specialize in? What subject do you want to teach? Whereas elementary, you're teaching a little bit of everything, so you don't have to pick something in particular. Another thing that we like to point out is, it's great that we have dual certifications because you're coming out with 2 licenses, but even on top of that, just know that once you get licensed, there's something called an add a field, which means you can always add other fields to your teaching license if there's other things you want to teach after you graduate from one of our programs. So don't feel like if there's a bunch of things that you want to be a teacher for, that you need to find one program that's going to give it all to you. There are ways to add other fields without having to go through another program. Okay, so just think about that. And then lastly, one of the best things about becoming a teacher is everybody needs teachers everywhere. It's a very portable profession. If you go through our programs, you get licensed here in Hawaii, and then something happens and you need to move to another state, you can take that license with you through our NASDTech agreement, which means we have reciprocity with almost all the other states in the country. And it's, you might just, have to meet a few requirements for that particular state, but you wouldn't have to start over and do a whole other program again. And so this is what you're looking for. If you want to become a teacher and you want to work in the public schools here in Hawaii, make sure you pick a SATEP program. SATEP stands for State Approved Teacher Education Program. All the programs we have been sharing with you today at this event are SATEP programs. That's why we're doing this. We're trying to narrow it down for you so you know which options are available to you. SATEP programs just means that it's specific for teacher licensure. The whole design had to be approved by the Hawaii Teacher Standards Board, and the Hawaii Teacher Standards Boards are actually the ones who issue the teaching licenses. And so just know, if you'll know you're in the right place and you have the right program if you're looking at coursework and field work, usually ending with a student teaching semester. That is how you know it's SATEP. Just be mindful that not all programs in education are SATEP programs, but the ones we are presenting today are. And then lastly, real quickly, we at the University of Hawaii at Manoa's College of Education will not be the ones handing you your license. Like I mentioned earlier, we just prepare you. We're the ones that are in charge of your experiences and the quality of what you're going to be learning. And then we'll submit your name upon graduation, and the Hawaii Teacher Standards Board will be the ones that issue you your license. And then after that, you take your license and you go get hired in the DOE. And one of the greatest things is, because we're so big and we have so many programs, HTSB, the Standards Board, and the DOE come and give special sessions to our candidates in our programs to help them navigate this process. So don't worry, you're in good hands. Just know that we will try to get you from point A to point B where you'll have your own classroom. And so now let's go ahead and show you all the different programs we have available. So like we mentioned, it's quite a lot, especially within elementary itself. We have 6 different cohorts options available. And so you can look at the ones that are shown on the screen. And then at the secondary level, you'll see the content areas that you can be a teacher in. And then lastly, we have a BS in health and PE, which is a K to 12. If you haven't started and you're either in high school or maybe you haven't started any college credits yet, one advantage to our licensure programs at UH Manoa is we have partnerships with all the community colleges in the state. So if you're looking just to get started, you could do your first 2 years at a community college through one of our associate degree partners, and then you can transfer to UH Manoa and just finish out your licensure program afterwards. It's a great cost saving opportunity. And it's also just really nice to be able to, you can live on whatever island you're on and get that done, right? And so we have all these slides. You can download them from our exhibit booth, and you can click on these to find out more specific information if you're interested. And similar to that, we have a special program called COE transfer program, which is specific for UH Manoa and these community colleges. They provide you an advisor, and they'll even cover your application fee once you transfer from the community college to Manoa, and they just help that streamline that process even more. So just know that that's an opportunity if you are starting fresh and you need to get all those prerequisite general ed core requirements done prior to pursuing the licensure part, which is usually the tail end of your bachelor's degree. So typically about 2 years, but one program will be the last 18 months. And so how are you going to be eligible? It does get a little tricky, but we do have an advising office where this is their job. Their job is to meet with you individually and help you navigate this from day one. It is never too early to contact them. Even if you're in high school, contact them. Say, this is where I want to go. This is what I want to do. And they will help you get on the right path. Just know that, like we just mentioned, you are going to have to finish out that first 2 years of coursework, right? You need to get that done first. You can do it at Manoa, or you can do it at the community college. You do need to maintain a 2.75 GPA for almost all areas. However, there are some special considerations for a 2.5, as you can see there. Before you start our program, you need 40 hours of group leadership experience, because we need to make sure that you worked with groups of students and understand if this is going to be a good fit for you, because our programs, they're cohorted. You got to do them as is. So you want to be confident that this is going to be the right choice for you. So we ask that go do some volunteer work, but it also could be paid work. Maybe you're going to run get hired in a summer fun program or an after school program. Those can all count. So it could be paid or unpaid experiences. When you do apply and you're ready to start the teacher licensure phase, just know that you will be invited for a personal admissions interview, and you need to pass that along with those dispositions that Dr. Moyer already kind of shared with you. And then the prerequisite courses are the trickiest part. They're listed there, but our recommendation is set up an advising appointment with one of our academic advisors, and they can help you best navigate that. And then lastly, you may have heard in the past about a praxis exam. It was like a math, writing, and reading test called the Praxis Core. We just put this in here to let you know that that requirement is no longer required. You will meet your basic skills by earning a bachelor's degree. So don't worry about taking that test anymore. Now, to become a licensed teacher, you do have to demonstrate content knowledge. Most of that is covered through our programs. Just the way it's designed will get you what you need, but just be mindful that in special circumstances, if you don't have all of that met, you might be taking a praxis exam for your licensure area down the road. But there is no entrance exam needed to be able to apply to this program, any of these programs. Okay, so just to get started, we are not going to go over too many details because we have a lot of program options. So we'll just kind of give you some basic facts on each of them so that you're aware, and then you can contact us later. So the first one we'd like to share is we have a BED in early childhood and early childhood special education. There's a plus sign, which means it's a dual certification option for anyone who wants to teach preschool to grade 3. Some unique features of this particular program is that it is statewide, online hybrid, which means you can be living on any island in the state and complete this program. Also, the courses are held in the evenings online. Therefore, it may be able to accommodate those who are already working in schools. So if you are, then you might want to consider looking at this program because it's one of the fewer programs that have that option embedded into it. And so At the early childhood level, just know that a lot of the coursework is based on literacy and family engagement and things of that nature.
Okay, so this program here is a dual licensure for elementary, which would be K-6, and early childhood, which is where the P comes in. So that plus sign, as Janet said, shows it's dual licensure. This is a Oahu UH campus-based program, so you need to be on Oahu to take this program. It's a full-time program for 2 years. The courses are during the day, and so personal schedules need to work around that. And our candidates, like many of our elementary program, spend 2 days a week in coursework for most of both days, and then 2 days a week in field. For this dual licensure program, field meaning the work that you do practicing the art of teaching in a classroom, some of that time will be in early childhood classrooms and preschool classrooms, and some of that will be in an elementary school setting. And again, if you want more information, there'll be a hyperlink in the slides. There is one in the slides that we'll be sharing with you. And then we have our elementary. This is just elementary. This is not a dual licensure program. It's for K-6. But one of the great features of this program is you can be on any island, and that's why we have that icon there that you see that shows that it could be online, or it could also be face-to-face on Oahu. So thinking about your learning style, what works best for you and where you're located, it could be one or the other. And we ask that you commit to one or the other and not switch midstream. It's a 2-year full-time program of 66 credits. And again, it's coursework in person or online, depending on which pathway you go. And then either way, you still spend 2 days a week working with children in grades K-6 throughout the full 2 years. Thanks. And then this is one of our newer programs. We had a small group in the first set of students, and we've just welcomed others who are getting dual licensure in elementary and Hawaiian Language Immersion. And we actually, it does say hybrid online, but we do have some students who are Manoa based. But what's nice, the nice feature about this is you could be on a neighbor island and complete this program using the hybrid online feature. And I really recommend, for those of you who are interested in this, because it is new, and I think it's a great talking point for those of you who are interested, to please contact our program website. But it is offered both in person and online. And then this is another one of our dual licensure pathways. It's for elementary K-6, but the dual licensure part is also a license in multilingual learning. So some of you might recognize that as ELL or ESL, but these are for teachers who are working with students who are learning English, as well as supporting the language development of their home language for grades K-6. This is only a face-to-face program. It is UH Manoa campus-based, 2 years and full-time. We do our best to place you in schools where you would have experience working with children who are multilingual learners and learning about the process that they go through and the different teaching strategies that you can use to support their development. Okay.
And then we have another dual certification at the elementary level, which is for elementary and special education. And this one has its own unique name called Exceptional Students in Elementary Education. So if you ever hear the term ESEE, it is referring to this particular program. What's really unique about this one is it did receive over $1 million grant maybe 7 years ago, where they redesigned the entire program to be modeled off of inclusive practices. So every course is going to be co-taught. So you're going to have 2 faculty members, typically one from the general education side and one from the special education side, who are going to teach together to show how to actually bridge the 2 worlds and ensure that when you are teaching, you're teaching to all learners. I graduated from the old version of this program, where all my elementary courses were there, and then I had all my special education courses, and they were completely separate. I really encourage you to look into this new model, because it's just very innovative and different because of the fact that they were able to really redesign it from scratch. It is a UH Manoa based on Oahu program. So you have to come out to Oahu in order to be able to do this program, but I think it's highly worth it. It has some very unique field experiences that you won't be able to find anywhere else. For example, they do something called an RTI semester where you get assigned a couple kids who are at risk of reading failure, meaning they're not in special education, but they're struggling. And our candidates are the ones who get trained on how to do an intervention and check the data. And what's great is they get to have that rewarding feeling of seeing the progress of these students who are struggling and then are now able to read. So very unique experiences. If anyone is interested, please reach out and contact us.
So many elementary programs. How wonderful. I'm here to tell you about the secondary program, the secondary BED. And one thing that I want to point out is we cover all the content areas so that you are in the program, but you're working towards licensure in a specific area so that you're either working towards licensure for recommendation in English or in math or music or science or social studies or a world language, of which there are many. So at the end of the program, you get a license 6 to 12 to teach, recommended 6 to 12 to teach in that content area. So not across all the contents, but just the one that you focused on. One of the cool things about our program is even though you have this focus on your content area at the beginning of the program, we really focus on an interdisciplinary approach so that you're actually taking courses. When we think about that cohort model, you're actually taking classes across all the content areas. And so that's really wonderful, and thinking about and having opportunities to see what 6 through 12 education looks like across all of the different fields. And then when you move into your second semester, then you really just start focusing on the practices that are associated with your specific field. Our program is 18 months, so it's very quick. It's the shortest of all the programs. It's 36 credits. And so typically you're using this at the very, very end of your undergraduate degree. And it is the spring semester, a summer session, a fall semester, followed by a spring semester. So that's the 18 months. It is a campus-based program, which means that one of the requirements for the program is that you're almost finished or entirely finished with your academic major courses. There are a lot of people who are coming into our program who just have a few more classes, and those classes are really all you have to be here, right, on Oahu to take those classes at the University at Manoa. So our program is campus-based in that sense, but we actually offer our university coursework online, and that allows you to, as undergraduates, take courses with our post-bac students, which is also a really nice blend of people and just lots of different perspectives. So that's a really cool thing about our program, is that those classes are offered online in the evening. And then the in-person component is really in the field. And like I said, when I was talking about that field component, it's 2 days a week when you start the program, and that's interdisciplinary, again, so you can see across all the content areas. And then in that fall semester, you're working specifically in your content area. So if you're working towards licensure in science, you would be placed in a science classroom with an experienced science mentor teacher, as an example. So that kind of is our program in a really quick nutshell.
Thank you. I know this is hard. One of the greatest things is we have so much to offer, but sometimes it can be a little confusing because we have so much to offer. So bear with us. The final program that we have at the undergraduate level is our Bachelor of Science in Health and PE. And so this one is very unique in the sense that there's lots of options related to it. You could do just health, you could do just PE, you can do both. And so in terms of facts that we can share with you, it's a little hard because it really will depend on the option that you pick. But it is a campus-based program as well, which means you do need to be on Oahu in order to pursue it. But they're a little different in the sense that they do rolling admit, they'll admit for both falls and springs. So you don't have to time it as well as you have to time the rest of the other programs available. But like we said, when you get a copy of these slides by going to the exhibit booth and you download the presentation, at the bottom, the About icon will take you to the program website. And at the bottom of that will be the contact information of who is in charge of these programs if you want to find more information. So we have about 10 minutes left. And so we're going to get into a really exciting portion of our presentation, which is talking about, how can you afford to come back to school? How can you afford to pursue this? How much is it going to cost? And what is out there for you? And so really, this is our current undergraduate tuition rate, $471 a credit. So when you look back at the program sheets, you can look at how many credits that particular program is, and you can price out how much it would cost for the entire program. If it is a Manoa-based program, though, what a lot of people don't realize is you can take advantage of what we call our full-time status tuition cost, which means that if you're doing a Manoa-based program, anything over 12 credits becomes free, and you can just pay the flat rate of $5,652 a semester, which is really helpful for some of those face-to-face dual certification programs, because now you're getting 2 licenses and you aren't paying a penny more either. So definitely something to look into to take advantage of. And we also have, it is way more expensive if you're not a Hawaii resident. Hawaii residency will require 1 year and 1 day living in the state before you can qualify. And so if, sometimes you have to come and get all those prerequisites done anyways. Try to establish your residency and then come to the program, because it makes a huge difference. And then because there is a shortage and we do need teachers, not only here in Hawaii, but around the country, there are some funding opportunities available to you. Federally, there's something called the Teach Grant and Federal Teacher Loan Forgiveness. Basically, the federal government is willing to provide you with money to become a teacher in high need fields. In Hawaii, currently, our high need fields are identified as English, math, science, special education, world languages, and Hawaiian immersion. So if you're interested in any one of those areas to teach, you can qualify to take the Teach Grant, which will give you $4,000 per year, which ends up being about $8,000 towards the program, as long as you're willing to teach that high need field for up to 4 years after you graduate. The caveat is because it's federal funding, they do tie it to what we call Title I schools. And Title I schools just means that a majority of the students at that school are on free and reduced lunch. A majority of our schools, especially at the elementary level in the state of Hawaii, are Title I schools. And then similarly, if you do those 4 years and then you add on 1 more and you teach for 5 years in a Title I school, you can then apply for federal teacher loan forgiveness, which will give you up to $17,500 in forgiveness to wipe out whatever loans you still have. The difference is Teach Grant you get while you're in the program. Federal teacher loan forgiveness you put in the back of your mind and you apply for it after you've done your 5 years. But in order to qualify for any of those funding, you need to submit your financial aid packet. You have to fill out the FAFSA. One advantage of going to a public land grant institution is we have all these opportunities for you to get funding to help you pay for your tuition. So when you get these slides, make sure you click on anything that's underlined. They're hyperlinked to check out, how to fill out your FAFSA, as well as UH in particular has tons of scholarships. It would take you hours to browse through all the scholarships that are available, but it's worth it. Go through it. And, there's ones that are specific to education, and then there's ones that are specific to the content or the level that you want to teach. And so you'd want to take advantage of as many of those as possible. And then lastly, in special education, we do have a partnership with the Hawaii Department of Education, where they have been, for the past 20 years, willing to pay for your special education coursework in return for a 3-year commitment to teaching special education after you graduate. What's unique about this particular funding that's a little bit different is that it's not need-based. You don't need to apply for it. It automatically gets offered to everyone who gets admitted into one of our dual certification licensure programs in special education. And then at that point, you can decide if you're going to take it. And if you take it, you're basically saying, after I graduate, I promise I'll teach my first 3 years in special education at any Hawaii public school. So it does not need to be Title I for this particular one. And again, because we have to wait until the budgets are renewed each year, as long as funding is continued, we automatically send the paperwork and it's an all or nothing. So everybody who gets admitted can take advantage of this funding source. And then real quickly, a lot of people ask us, well, how much am I going to make as a teacher? Just know that it's a little confusing when you look at the DOE salary, but you would be getting a bachelor's degree, which means you enter at class 2. But know that you are not going to be starting at step 1. In fact, similar to what we said before, SATEP is when you graduate, you will be a SATEP licensed teacher and you will actually enter at step 5, which means your entry starting salary on your first day as a teacher means you'll be making about $49,000 to $50,000 a year. And when you look at that in comparison to all the majors at the University of Hawaii at Manoa, typically UH Manoa graduates with a bachelor's degree on average are making about $27,608 a year. So we can see that even though teachers work hard and deserve more, that actually your entry salary is a lot higher than a lot of the other majors that are out there. And lastly, won't go into depth, but just know that your earning potential as a teacher is actually really high, because not only will you move steps and move up in pay just for being committed and staying over the course of your career, there's an additional way to make money that not many people are aware of, which we call our reclassification. So after you get your bachelor's degree, come back to us, get a master's degree in something that you're really interested in, and you can use those credits to reclassify and bump up in pay. And I will just say that this is a snapshot of the top of the pay scale, which means there are some teachers who have made it to step 14 and all the way to class 7, and they are making about $92,000 a year. So what do you do if you're interested? We want you to reach out to us. There are 2 applications that are involved. It can get a little tricky to navigate. We are currently accepting applications for our fall admission programs up until March 1st. So if you are interested and you think you might meet the eligibility requirements, reach out to us right away. And the way to do that is to set up an appointment with one of our Office of Student Academic Services academic advisors. So their information is here. Their job is they can look at your transcripts, they can see everything you've already done, and they can help you navigate, you know, if there are some things that you still need to complete versus not. And so we highly encourage, especially at the undergraduate level, to reach out to our academic advising office, not only once, but just throughout your journey, because they're the ones that can help you stay on track. And they are willing to meet with you now. You do not have to be enrolled. You do not have to be a Manoa student. They want to support you as soon as you decide, you know what, I want to become a teacher. I want to come to UH Manoa and I want to pursue this program. The earlier you meet with them, the better. So thank you. If you are interested in special education, you are more than welcome to also reach out to me specifically with my information here. And so that will end this particular presentation, which is just on time. And so thank you for all attending today. Make sure you reach out to us, download the information, and exciting, the next part of today's event is the DOE talking about how they go through their employment processes. So go back into the auditorium and be sure you don't miss out on that session, which will start in a couple minutes. Thank you.